Hey, I have a podcast.
Well, everyone has one.
I wonder who started it in India.
अरे वही होंगे या तो वो biceps वाले या तो ones who are figuring it out.
Galat jawab. Let's meet the OG who built an entire company around it.
Why is this word podcast become so bastardized?
We overestimate how much people care about what we do.
We see that PM Narendra Modi coming on podcast,
Yeah.
Vijay Mallya coming on podcast.
Do you think it's a more convenient way also where they can sort of tweak the questions?
That's a very tough question because again, like you step on a lot of toes when you talk about some of this kind of stuff, right?
You see that there are like big fours in podcast where you see just like 3 or 4 sort of getting the bigger pie.
I was
They are
very
them
curious
taking
about that. You said Big Four and I was like, who are Big Four? Who are these people? I'd love to meet them.
Pure biceps, I think it's Raj Shamani,
Sure.
it's Prakhar,
Sure,
Humans of Bombay to a certain extent.
sure.
Recently, Prakhar posted a video, Prakhar ke Pravachan.
Is it true that you can earn more from Instagram than YouTube?
Yes. Today in India, yes.
Does India lack like a strong female voice in the podcast industry?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why? Is there like some sort of explanation on that?
I mean,
Hello and welcome everybody on the Y-axis. So today we are doing a podcast on essentially podcasts. I'm sitting with somebody who sort of started the wave of podcast, and even if people deny, this is the OG setup. This is IVM. They are the first ones to jump on the bandwagon. Now I want to know what's your honest opinion. Why is this word podcast become so bastardized?
it always was. It's a bastardized word by definition, by conception itself. The word podcast comes from iPod music, right? And so it doesn't make any sense anyway. And at this point, I think it's a convenient way to refer to conversational content. Doesn't matter form or anything like that, right? Podcast initially was more of a technical thing. Now it's more of a content thing. So it's a conversational thing. So I think that would be my answer, because what do you mean by bastardized?
Because when we say and we introduce people that we have a podcast, we can see like a certain look on their face, maybe because they're bombarded with the kind of
Yeah, it's
content and the
saturated.
intensity.
So I think that some of that is just Indian cultural.
Yeah.
One of the original conceits of starting a podcasting network was the fact that India didn't have talk radio.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And that was like one of the main kind of thinking points around this. And so just given that situation or that particular kind of aspect of this, right, we're not used to a volume of conversation where people can talk, right? Like there's
Agreed.
because if you look at the number of podcasts that there are in India, it's not that high, right? India is a country with a population 5x, 6x of the US. Do you think
Yeah.
we have 5 or 6x of US podcasts?
For sure. No.
No.
Not even close, right?
Yes.
Do you think we even have as many podcasts as there are out of the UK?
I don't think so.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
so I mean, like my point is that the thing about a podcast or talk content generally, right, is that it is consumed in a particular kind of way, which is, i.e., somebody who you look as a substitute friend, right? Whatever that
Yes.
whatever that conversation might be.
Yeah.
And that's the format. And so it's going to have like so I mean, like, it's, people are generally cynical. People like to shit on stuff for no reason whatsoever. In this case, right now they're shitting on podcasts. Next week they'll be shitting on mainstream Bollywood movies. The week after that they'll be shitting on Instagram. The week after that they'll be shitting on something else. And that's just the nature of this, right? I think that when you are in the content creation space, you have to have a certain equanimity and just go from there.
No, but I think podcast is something which is coming out as large because we see that PM Narendra Modi coming on podcast,
Yeah.
Vijay Mallya coming on podcast, and not going to the conventional setups
Right.
of interviews.
That is true. I think that is that's more than anything else. I think a nature that's a technical nature. That's the technological nature of what podcasting is. Podcasting does not have a 24-hour time restriction, which all of your traditional media outlets do. Right? You cannot put more than 24 hours of content in a day on
Right.
on a radio station or a TV station. Because of that, the way that content is designed is designed on the hour. The segmentation is much higher, and the kind of way that content is created is like, okay, we have 1 hour of content. Of that 1 hour, we're going to fill 42 minutes with content. We're going to fill 18 minutes with advertising. Inside the content, we're going to do the following things, right? We're going to have so many breaks because the ads need to come on the 5-minute mark, on the 12-minute mark, on the 18-minute mark, and so on and so forth, right? So just given that there is no room to expand, the nature of digital content does not need for that to happen. Even if you're only doing a 15-minute conversation, you're doing a 15-minute non-stop conversation. Right? And I think that's why you see people coming on those things more, because they get a better opportunity to put their views forth without getting cut off. Right? You compare a podcast to and again, this is a bad comparison because that's the format that it is, right? But you look at it compared to a standard news channel debate, right?
Right.
A news channel debate will typically have 6 people on it.
Right.
You're a 1 hour long newscast, right? 42 minutes is the content, 80 minutes is the advertising. This is rough, but this is more or less 1/3, 2/3 is more or less roughly what it is, right? So let's say 40 minutes to keep the math easy of the content being created. 6 people are there, plus a host is there. Host is going to talk for at least 5-6 minutes.
Usually more than that.
But at least 5-6 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So you have 35 minutes left or 34 minutes left to split between 6 people. None of them are going given 6 minutes at a row to talk, right? So they have to give you 3 2-minute sound bites. And it's a very different, the nature of it is very different than sitting down and having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, so you're getting actually a space where your views are sort of appreciated in a way. But have you watched Vijay Mallya wala podcast ya fir
I've seen
Modi's?
some of it. I've not seen the entire thing. I've
Yeah.
seen Modi's this.
Yeah.
I have seen them.
Do you think it's a more convenient way also where they can sort of tweak the questions and
So
it's a
I
more
think-
free-flowing?
That's a very tough question because again, like you step on a lot of toes when you talk about some of
Yeah.
this kind
Please
of stuff,
do.
right? No, but I mean, like I think that so there is a how do I put this, right? Like you said, you work at Outlook, right? Outlook is a traditional media house. It's traditional press. There are certain ways that they choose to operate in that context. That doesn't mean that they don't have access or they don't make compromises or anything of that nature. All media houses do. That's
They
the
do,
nature
they
of the
do.
business, right? But what it does also mean is that when you're operating with that, you're operating on a certain very kind of accepted set of standards that folks use. The same is not true in the digital world, right? Now, it might be that questions are given in advance. There have been accusations of that, I think we've all seen. But it also can be that, hey, you know what? Let me go and pick somebody who I know is not going to challenge me in real deep ways. Let me decide who I'm going to have, right? When you do a press thing, a more traditional press thing, the people with credibility are generally speaking, not always again, but generally speaking, going to be people who are going to be more challenging towards the narrative that you are trying to set. There is also, and I mean, like, you know, I love PR people. They're my favorite people. They're great. They're amazing. But there is a nexus of how this stuff works.
Absolutely.
You want good guests, you have to make sure that the PR folks are satisfied. And so then that becomes a part as well. And then, you know, all the accusations flying around about, like, you know, basically people taking cash for
They do.
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, like, again, nobody's admitted to doing that. So I don't want to say that somebody has done it, but, you know, there are accusations of this going around all over the place. And that's, and I can say that I know that these accusations should probably be credible because we've been offered money repeatedly. We've lost guests because we don't take money.
We have been offered.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we are actually nowhere given the kind of statistics that other podcasts offer, so I can't even imagine the number they
No, and so for me, the challenge becomes this, right? You want to be, and again, like, you know, see, the thing is, I don't want to act like we're journalists. We're not journalism. We don't do journalism. We make entertaining content, right? So don't want to try and pretend that we do journalism here. But I also think that if you set up a vendor-client relationship with somebody who's supposed to be a guest on your show, and now all of a sudden they get final cut, all of a sudden that changes a lot of things that are there. I find that to be a little challenging to. I'm not great. I don't feel great about doing that. I'm not comfortable with that totally. Right. I think that if we are trying to build content for our own IPs and our own sakes, I want to make sure that we decide what goes out. I don't want to be dependent on somebody else. We have a whole different branded content business where it's like, that's client work, right? And that's a different thing altogether, right? In the branded content place, client says jump, you say how high.
Soul is not involved.
Yeah.
involved there.
But
But-
I think there are two things which I want to jump on when you said this. One is credibility, which of course comes because now you have a sort of audience that, they watch you consume that content, and ultimately many of them, inculcate those things in their own lives. And
Sure.
yeah, so that kind of with the deterioration of the content which you are producing, that might affect a lot of Gen Zs or the generation coming
I'll
forth.
be honest, I don't care about that.
Okay. Okay.
No, because the way I see this, right, is the way that people consume content and interact with content. It's not the responsibility of the content creator to be like, I need to teach you lessons. That's not the content creator's responsibility.
Agreed.
Right? So, I mean, like, if you are somebody who is gullible enough to be influenced by some stupid conspiracy, right, and that makes you feel a certain way, or you take bad advice when it comes to health stuff, right? If you're gullible enough for that, I mean, like, it's just the means that are different. Somebody is going to catch you some way or the other, right?
Very true.
So I don't think that I don't see that as a responsibility in that sense, right? Like, you want to have standards for what kind of content you create, but that is the only responsibility that is there. You're not responsible to how somebody interacts with the stuff that you put out. This is my opinion. I don't think everybody shares this opinion. To be very honest with you, I think most people don't. But I really do think that it cannot be a content creator's responsibility to worry about how people are going to perceive their
Perceive their
content.
content. Right. So are you able to like completely separate the art from the artist also?
Never.
Never.
I mean, these are all theoretical, like,
Yeah.
best case scenarios, right? But you can't.
Because I have seen content creation actually changing a lot of things. It has dived into everything, like food pharma ka the Bonvita case happened, and it had to change. The Bonvita had to change.
Yeah.
A lot of things, because I'm not saying it's your responsibility, but content creators today have a big role in every place.
But so there is food farmer also, but there's also a bunch of junk also, right?
Yeah.
It's not the point is that different people are going to make content with different things in mind. It's not anybody's role to tell that person what they should or should not do. At least I don't think that there is. There's nobody out there who has that right? So food farmer says, like, when he decided to make his content, he's like, I want to make content exploring the labeling of products and seeing how that is, and are people aware of that. That's a mission that he had to make that. There is some random dancing girl who has a mission that I want to get a lot of followers dancing on Instagram.
Yeah.
Right? Why is it that we can have a qualitative difference in opinion on what these two things are? Right? That doesn't mean that the mechanism for it should prevent the person who makes the content that you don't appreciate not be able to do it.
Very true.
Right? It also, like, honestly, like, judgment is tricky in this case.
Agreed.
Right? Like, if you're judging the person who you don't like, I think that's a little
Moral policing also. to a
yeah,
certain
no, it's
extent.
become it's so, no, again, I mean, the dancing girls are maybe a bad example, right? You can look at any number of content which you would consider superficial, right? Look at the fancy houses, look at the fancy cars on Wally Face. You can look at the let's do travel content, right? Like, I mean, like, there's a bunch of different areas where you can say that this content is fairly frivolous, right? But frivolity is not necessarily it's not something that you should, like, at least I don't think you should judge.
It's a very subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody would enjoy that content.
Yeah, and people are enjoying that
For
content.
Sure. You look at the
They
numbers.
are, they
Yeah. It's clear that is the content that is resonating with folks.
Do you see that there are like big fours in podcast where you see just like 3 or 4 sort of getting the bigger pie?
I was very
them
curious
taking
about
away.
that. You said Big Four, and I was like, who are Big Four?
Big four you see in the IT sector, right? Those
Right.
big 4 companies. I think we can draw parallels in the podcast industry also. It's like they are taking the bigger pie, bigger chunk.
Who are these people? I'd love to meet them.
You know, the names are very much in front of you. I mean, I think it's Beer Biceps, I think it's Raj Shamani,
Sure.
it's Prakhar,
Sure,
Humans of Bombay to a certain extent.
sure. Yeah, but I don't know how that's different from any other media business.
Yeah.
All media businesses, right, basically operate on a bell curve, if you will, right? You will have a bunch of people in the middle. You have very few at the top and very few at the bottom.
Yeah.
But a bunch of people will be in the middle, right? And the middle class is going to make a lot less money because it's a essential supply and demand issue, right? The more supply that exists in of a certain kind, the less the cost will be for that kind of thing. Whereas today, if you want to get to 500,000 people, right, with your messaging, there are only so many people you can do it in English language with. If you want to get to 3 million people, there are only so many people you can do it with in Hindi language, right? And that's why you do have some of that. I think entertainment's hits driven. It's always been hits driven. Like, there was this really interesting argument I was reading by a Bloomberg columnist about the, and again, I think this probably sits well for you guys given your age, but around the Taylor Swift Scooter Braun issue. Just for everybody's context, Scooter Braun was the original record executive who signed Taylor Swift. She got really pissed off at him, etc., 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 right? Because she wanted to escape and he wasn't willing to give the rights, and then she re-recorded all the albums, etc.
Taylor's version.
The Taylor's version.
Taylor,
exactly,
Taylor
right?
being
Yeah.
Taylor.
So, there was an interesting argument made by this guy. He's a columnist for Bloomberg, entertainment columnist, where he's like, it sounds very much like Taylor's in the right over here, right? She's like, I want my music. I want to be
Yes.
able to do this, right? But he's also like, you have to understand to some extent how the music industry operates.
Agreed.
If you look at how the music industry operates, a record label is like a VC. They're going to have one success, which is going to have to pay for 25 failures.
Very true.
Oh God, yeah.
Right? And those 25 failures that need to be paid for, that one success person will be like, hey, you're making $10 million off my record. Why am I not getting 6 million off this?
Very
But
true.
that one success, you don't know in advance that one success is going to be the success, right? So I think, but again, sorry, this is a little bit of a digression, but the point was hit driven. All of our content, all of the entire content space is hit driven in that space, right? And you don't know what is going to succeed in advance, right?
Right.
So when things are hit driven, then at that point in time, you are going to see a gravitation of money towards hits.
I worked with Tarsim Mittal, who is TM talent management person. I learned this thing from him, that you only root for the people that you see, that
Yeah.
you sort of develop that personal connection with. You do not see that the record labels actually back you when you have straight up failures,
Yeah.
when you're at the low points.
Yeah.
Do you think at this moment, because you have a company, do you back the kind of podcasts that are not working? Do you back the IPs that you know are sort of hitting that push button?
So we believe in a certain amount of persistence. We'll try stuff,
Okay.
and when we try stuff, we'll try stuff for a certain amount of time. But to be very honest with you, the video world has changed things.
Yes.
When we were audio, we would be much more patient with stuff.
Okay.
In the case of video, the cost of production is so significantly higher
Yeah.
that you kind of have to be a little more aware of what you're doing and does the cost make sense for it. So
How much do you spend roughly on like one shoot?
I'm not going to give you an answer to that.
I mean, like a rough ballpark figure for people who want to start something.
I
and
mean,
create something.
if you want to be an independent, see again, like we're set up in a certain infrastructure,
Yes.
and so our costs are based on that, right?
Right.
If you want to if you want to do your own podcast, I mean, like you can do something for like 20-25 grand,
Right.
Yeah.
right? I mean, like if you want a full video podcast, it probably would wind up costing you something like that.
It's a lot still.
It is a
Right.
lot, but I mean,
And
like
this
you
is
want,
just like the
Yeah.
bare minimum.
so
that
you
you're
want to do
talking
it for
about.
free, you can also do it for free.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, or not free, but for like almost nothing, get a subscription to StreamYard or get a subscription to Riverside, record it online, edit it automatically via like AI tools, and you're done. That's essentially just time, right? But it's not going to have the studio look. It's not going to have the quote unquote depth of field.
Right.
It's not going to necessarily
Right.
have the audio quality.
Right.
All that stuff is there. You want to do all that, then there is a cost.
There is a
You know,
cost,
there is
100%.
when I was in college, right? I mean, So again, this is a long time ago, right? But like one of my professors once made the analogy, and again, I don't know that these are names that are familiar today, but he's like, you have a camera, you're a photographer, but also Ansel Adams is a photographer, right?
Yeah.
Or in the more modern parlance, you take a video on your phone, you're a filmmaker, but Sanjay Leela Bhansali is also a filmmaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to compare the budgets of the two? You can't really. That's not really. It's not really
so
the same
it's
thing
a
at that
really
point.
wide
right?
Yeah.
spectrum that
Yeah.
you're looking at.
So there's all different kinds of ways, and similarly in this podcasting space, where you can decide how much production you want to put into something. How much you want to spend is entirely up to you. You can do it for free.
One more thing, like when we started our journey of the y-axis, we were asked by a lot of people to to pick up a niche, and I want to understand how important is that, because for us our niche was curiosity. We are curious about everything, every industry. We'll tap into that and we'll try to understand and navigate through it.
From the best in the
Yeah,
business. Yeah,
exactly.
I think it depends on what you're looking to accomplish exactly. There is a lot of conversation going on in the world right now in media around specialization versus generalists, right? If you look at who are the single highest paid people in media, they're almost always generalists. Okay, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
If you look at that, Ranveer. If you look in India,
Yes.
these are generalists, right? They're
Yeah.
not this, but the specialists can do pretty damn well for themselves.
Yeah,
Right.
agreed.
Anupam Gupta, who does our show Paisa Vaisa,
Yes.
makes a shit ton of money on podcasting, right? Because he's a specialist. He's a finance guy. He is the go-to guy when it comes to who do we want to work with in the finance space? Who do we want to develop content with? How do we want to kind of do this thing, right? Like he hosts a bunch of things for people. So there are the way I would put it is that specialization is a way to build an audience, right? Because if I am a tech guy, tech people are going to listen to me. If I'm a podcast guy, podcasting people are going to listen to me. It's a way to build an audience, but that audience is by definition limited. Because no non-tech person is going to want to hear a 1-hour discussion on the ins and outs of, I don't know, how some Python script works,
Yes.
right? But a tech person would find that fascinating.
Right.
No non-podcast person is going to want to listen to a half-an-hour conversation on why the RSS feed was the single most important thing to grow podcasting. Nobody's going to want to listen to that. For a podcasting person, that's kind of interesting, I think, right? But so I think that it's a way to kind of talk to a certain audience, but it's limited by that way. Whereas a generalist is harder to break into.
Yes.
It's
Right.
very hard to become a generalist who has an audience, right? But once you do, then the upside on that is essentially unlimited.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's I don't think that you have a single answer for it. I don't think that it is either or in that context. But at the same time, I think that there are clear benefits to being one or the other. And I think that, and again, nothing says that you can't go from one to the other.
Yeah.
Right? Like nothing says that you can't start out as a specialist and then become a generalist. Right? I'm trying to think of an example offhand right now. Nothing is coming to mind from an Indian context, but if we want to look internationally, Andrew Ross Sorkin,
Yeah.
right? He was very much a specialist in the finance space. He's still that, but he is now much more than that. He's the guy who decides, who talks about how the economy goes and stuff like that. There are examples of this that you will see in the West quite often. I'm sure there are examples in India as well, but nothing is coming immediately to mind in that sense.
Okay. In terms of like niche podcasts.
A niche podcaster was then expanded. Actually,
Finance
Shamani is that.
Shamani
Yeah.
Shamani
started
was
with
originally a business guy.
Yeah.
He was only a business guy. Now he's
Yes.
become much more of a generalist
Yes.
guy.
Yes.
Yeah, but that has been journey of a lot of podcasters. I think Ranveer also did a lot
Fitness.
of fitness.
No,
But
Ranveer
that
did
was not
fitness,
podcast.
But that
Yeah,
was
but
not
that
podcast.
was-
that was
yeah.
YouTubing. His
Yes.
podcasting has always been generalized.
Yes.
Okay. I want to understand one more thing, which is sponsor is something which can help a lot in finances. What are the other things which can help a podcast in financially, basically?
I mean, there are some ways to think about how you can monetize a podcast, right? Direct support from listeners or viewers is one that is more popular in other parts of the world than it is over
Yes.
here.
Yeah, it's not,
We've tried doing it here. We have not.
Audience से पैसा निकलता नहीं है.
I mean, at least to the point where it's not. So, again, we are a company, so I am paying folks to make content for us. And so if I'm paying people to make content for us, because when you're a subscription product, you are limiting your distribution only
Right.
to the people who have the subscription, right?
Yeah.
So now the question then becomes, is it worth limiting that distribution? Is what you kind of have to answer when it comes to that kind of thing, right? So that's one. Merch is another, right? So as a possibility. Live events where you sell tickets are another, but that's a tougher road to crack than
Yeah.
most people
It's too
believe.
difficult, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a hard business. I mean, listen, I don't think that anybody should think that this is easy to make money in. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not. It's hard to do it. It's a big reason why we do as much branded content as we work on. We
Yes.
do a lot of work with we do a lot of work on the branded side because that's where you can see some money. Right. From a sponsorship perspective, it's a tough nut to crack.
Again,
We get some. It's hard to get all.
Right.
Right.
Recently, Prakhar posted a video, Prakhar ke Pravachan, and he mentioned a very interesting thing, which is that I am being forced, because of the kind of army that is behind me, the team, I'm being forced to have like 4 really intellectual conversations in a month.
Okay.
We are posting like 20 episodes, 30 episodes, and it's almost like a timeline that I'm working
Yeah.
on. And podcast inherently is sort of, irrespective of where it's heading today, it started as a thought where people enjoy having conversations, right? I
Right.
mean, in general, if
No.
you see how we started and how people start, like it's also the art of this, the beauty of
So
conversation.
you can
I
do
feel.
a hobby. Like I said, you can do a podcast for free.
Yeah.
You can just do it for fun. That's entirely possible. But if you want to have this be the thing that you do for a
Yeah.
living,
For a living.
then it's a business.
Right.
Right, and so then that means that you have to treat it like a business, and you have to think about it like a business, and you have to think about release schedules, and you have to think about what is the amount of content that I'm building over here, and what is the traffic that I'm building, and what inventory can I offer to an advertiser, and you have to think of all those things then.
Yeah.
You have to think of where your cost inputs are. You have to think of all that kind of stuff. So the idea that a podcast can be a hobby and be successful at the same time
Yeah.
does not fly with me.
Okay.
You can do a podcast because you want to do a podcast. Then you should be happy with a couple of hundred people listening to you,
Right.
Okay.
right? Maybe a couple of thousand, right? But that's not going to make you real money. If you want to make real money, you have to treat it like a business. You have to kind of identify, okay, when I'm looking at my YouTube analytics, these are the things that I'm seeing over here. This is the kind of subject matter that I think our audience would like to listen to us talk about. We should be doing this. We should be doing these kinds of things. Oh, okay, what is this release schedule? Should I release the reel on the same day as I release should I release the reel on Instagram on the same day I should release the short on YouTube, or should I stagger that? Should I release the short on YouTube before or after the episode comes out? These are all choices and decisions that you need to make, and they all take some amount of mental bandwidth.
So as you were talking about a lot about YouTube analytics and everything, tell me whether this is a wise decision or not. A lot of podcasters make a podcast keeping in their mind कि ये reel कट जाएगा. They are making content for YouTube, but that is being only catered to Instagram.
It's a choice.
But then it takes away from the conversation. Like मुझे नहीं लगता then you'll be
Like
able
I said,
to
it's
listen.
a choice. It is a choice. You can go one way or the other. There's no specific right answer in my opinion on that particular question, because you're right that if you want to make this so that I'm going to be able to pull a neat 60-second bite out of it, you're going to lose some of the organic flavor of the pacing that occurs in a conversational piece.
Right.
But at the same time, if you want the benefit that comes from the marketing via the reel or the short, you have to make that choice. I mean, it's a choice. I honestly don't know that one is right and one is wrong at this point in time. I know that one impacts the other, right? But I cannot. It really, I mean, it depends on what you want to do, right? I don't see a right or wrong there. No, I kind of do. You should make sure that you should not every part of your conversation should be real friendly, but you should make sure there are some real friendly moments inside your conversation.
Have to be a balance.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just that the audience is nowadays seeing through it, like how people are forcing questions at times.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
This is the content which is also widely consumed.
I think you are overestimating how much the audience. This is something I talk to my team all about
Yeah.
all the time. We overestimate how much people care about what we do.
You know, with I want to go
So-
deeper into this YouTube versus Instagram
Sure.
analytics because you're saying that you study that a lot. What's like the rule your rule book for YouTube? Like once you upload a video, are there some checks and balances that you do? What are things we should in general keep in mind?
I mean, there's a whole checklist of things to do,
Yeah.
right? That's right.
So,
I
like
think-
with Cyrus says, which are some episodes that you think would not work that well because maybe the guest is somebody who's not very recognizable, but did like something that shocked
Very
you.
well.
There have been many over the years, to be honest with you, right? Like again, it's like Cyrus is like close to
1,000 more,
2,000
yeah,
episodes
2,000,
now.
Yeah.
So hard to kind of
Yeah.
pick this, but so there have been many of those, right? Brijesh Singh comes to mind. Brijesh is a cyber security cop.
Oh.
His episode did really well. It's a very early episode. In more recent times, Kurush was on Kunal's show, which did really well. Kurush Dalal did Kunal show Century of Stories. That did really well. Who's done well on Cyrus, who is not famous right now? I think Rishabh's episode did well on Cyrus recently. Rishabh Shah from IIM.
He's about to come
Yes,
on
we
our
are
podcast as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So his episode did reasonably well right now. Who else? There are many, right? Like again, like we've had authors who have come on and their
Yeah.
episodes have done well. We've had actors who've come on and their episodes have not
Have
done
not
well.
done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also because sometimes they are overused.
Yeah, and we're part of a PR tour,
Yes.
right? And so you're
Yeah.
doing stop
Yeah,
to
maybe
stop
the
to stop to
conversation
stop.
doesn't happen that
Yeah.
way.
And
So
also Cyrus is an English guy, and if it's a Hindi first actor, that gets tough.
I think Cyrus also brings something with
So much to
himself
the
only,
table,
na?
yeah.
So it's more to do with, okay, we are here for the guest also,
Yeah.
but more for Cyrus.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I think people
that
do
happens.
come for that show.
Yeah.
That and that's the thesis, right? You'll get the visitors for the guests every so often, but people come for the host every week.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is, I think, for a podcast, the most difficult thing to build is that when they come and they click on your channel, they sort of expect what kind of questions will come from this.
Right.
And once the audience has that clear sense of things, it's when you have sort of built a brand for yourself, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. With Cyrus, I think that's the one thing
That's
that
the
sort of
case.
stands
Yeah,
out.
no, I think that's true. I think as a podcaster, right? Like, I mean, like you do want to have a signature.
Yeah.
You
Right.
want people to be able to kind of like, hey, you know what? I'll get something good out of this.
Yeah.
I'll get this out of this, right? Good can be whatever the definition of good might be, but I will get this out of this. And like, it's not just podcasts, right? This is also a theory in procedural television or novels or things like that.
Yes.
A lot of podcasts, a lot of procedural TV shows, these guys, they're basically, they play on the tropes of familiarity.
Yeah.
So you want something which is familiar but a little bit different, right? And that's, I think, what you want to give your audience as well, right? That they should be able to find some familiarity in this. I listen to a lot of sports podcasts, right? Mostly American NBA basketball sports as is this. And what you find in that is the ones that I go back to over and over again, right? Are the ones which do bring that to it, right?
Yeah.
There is like a sense of familiarity with it. There is, but at the same time, every episode's a little different also.
Right. Does India lack like a strong female voice in the podcast industry?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Why? Is there like some sort of explanation on that?
I mean, opportunity is one part of it. I think wow, okay. I should have thought more about this question before I this. No, I think there is a certain amount of the opportunities of our. So, in the pre-video world, I think that was true, but not as true as it is today. Now it feels a little truer. The podcasts that are out there, I don't have a great answer. I really don't. I wish that, like, we try and work with as many women as we can over here. I think we almost always have something or the other going on with at least a couple of women hosts on that front. But I don't know why. I like the internet maybe it's just that, right? The internet's not a particularly friendly place to women in India.
Oh
And
my God, that's a
just-
big statement to put.
You
No,
don't
but
think
it's
that's
very true. It's
Yeah.
very true and very
I don't
obvious.
think
Yeah.
that's untrue. I don't think that's
Yeah.
particularly controversial either.
No,
Yeah.
but because when we started, our introduction mostly goes like two girls starting with this, and the first person we showed it to, our first editor at that time, he said, "Yeah, why have you put two girls?" Because we are two girls who have started with something like that. We're like, people will see two girls, and a lot of people will click no, like nahi dekhna, and it's like,
I mean,
"Arey, we won't be talking about like." There will be everything over
Yeah.
there on the platter, but
I mean, it's. I don't have a great answer here, right? Like, because again, I don't think that. I don't know that. I don't know what you can do about this, right? In that sense, right? Because again, people have to be comfortable to do this work. They can't feel like they're putting themselves out just to get abused, right? And I think that is one thing that kind of gets visible in some degree, especially YouTube comments being public and what have you, right? And I think
Right.
like that kind of leads to a certain others. But also, I mean, like if you look at just general female workforce participation in India,
Yeah.
it's I think that was one of your questions that you had sent
Yes,
across,
yes.
right? Yeah. But if you just look at that piece of it as well, right? If in India 15% of women are working across the board, I'm guessing probably 10-15% of podcasters are women in India. I don't know. I have not done a detailed
think
study
even
on this.
lesser.
right, even less.
It's
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I would it like really? If you talk
Yeah.
about the 10 most successful podcasts, right, in India, Nana and Sakshi have to be in that.
Yeah, but that's like a very different niche from the other ones.
But they're still
that you
women,
see.
right?
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But the conversations that they have, unfortunately, it might be like a little controversial, but it's sort of adding to the perception or stereotype that people have about female podcasters, that these are the topics they'll talk about.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true.
Not taking away from the quality that they
Yeah.
produce. It's good conversations.
Yeah.
Even I enjoy it, but it's sort of pushing that narrative.
It does push that narrative. It's true. Again, like the question becomes is gender associated with content type, right? And unfortunately,
question to ask,
it
yeah.
seems to be true,
Yes.
right?
But why is that so? Like, a movie like Pink comes out
Mhm.
and people say it's a female centric movie, but it is something which should be watched by everyone.
Mhm.
But you'll put it in a box or you'll dissect it कि ये देखेंगे and ये देखेंगे.
Yeah.
Why is that supposed to happen in
Because
general?
we make demographics out of all kinds of things, and we want to slice and dice, and we want
Yeah.
to find the most effective way to market our messages. Which is why if you're looking at a movie like Pink, the thought will be like, hey, this will resonate with women. If we spend 100 rupees over here targeting women, we will have an ROI of 125 rupees. If we spend 100 rupees over here targeting men, we will get an ROI of 105 rupees. It might still be positive, but you're going to go towards that, right? I think you'll see the same thing over here when it comes to these kind of content types, right? The fact, sad but true, is that men outnumber women on the internet in India in huge numbers, right? Even though our population is mostly equal, it is still a 68, 72, something like that percentage male
Males.
audience on the internet. So just given that, I think you're going to see people going to try and figure out what is the most efficient way to spend their dollar.
Right.
Right.
A lot
And
of
that
content
might
is
be this.
catered to men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not even really catered to men as much as it is. I don't know, right? I mean, like I don't want to put like words in people's mouth or try and impute motives to people in that sense, right? But is there a possibility that there is a thought that the people like your editor mentioned to you, hey, you know what? It's hard enough and expensive enough to make content. This content that we're making is gender neutral per se. If there are going to be people who are going to be turned off by a female host, should we just go with a male host? I'm not saying that that is something that we have ever done, but that's not how we approach these things. We kind of approach most of these with a fairly gender neutral thought process, unless it's not a gender neutral show. And if it's not a gender neutral show, it's almost generally speaking something that's going to be hosted by a woman in that case, right? But I'm guessing that that's got to be some part of the process, right? That must be some part of the way the thinking must go.
And that's the same debate when people are like, you can get followers easily because you are a girl. Because, of course.
But
I mean,
unfortunately, that also is true.
I mean, again, I don't think that this is true of, forget all, not even many women, right?
Yeah, no,
But
but
there
there are
are
techniques you
some-
can.
There
yeah.
are some who played into this,
Yeah,
right? There are some who play into
of
this.
course.
Yeah.
Even doing serious serious content, they'll still play
Yeah.
into the physicality of things.
Right. But I see when I walk through the office, I see now a lot of females in the office as well.
Yeah.
Which you in your conversation with Cyrus says, you discuss that there are actually not a lot of women applying for the kind of jobs that we require, like sound engineers ho gaye, ya fir more technical terms. Do you see that changing? Do you see that they provide the same
I
level
think
of quality?
I think we still have the same challenges that women work in certain areas.
Yeah.
We have women in the production side of things. We have women on the creative solution side of things.
Yeah.
We have women on the sales side of things. When it comes to the more technical jobs, we have made an effort. So we have video editors who are women.
Okay.
But beyond that, it's hard. Most of them are not applying in this space.
Okay.
So
That's
we've struggled with audio engineering, particularly hiring women over there. The 3 women that we have on the video editing side have been with us for a while now.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's not easy to find.
It's been an amazing conversation so far, and
Exactly.
I just want to end it with like this one simple question, which is that today standing here, I want to know your honest opinion on, do you think IVM missed the boat? Because it sort of started as the people who sort of, they rode the wave. And now I think with the kind of IPs that you're launching and everything, all the things, you see that it's not a very familiar name with the younger generation. People get to know about the work they do, but I think back in the days, people got to know about the IVM word in general, and that was our first motive and intention to sort of get both of you. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Kavita, but yeah, both of you on table and discuss that where did you miss the bus? Like, do you think that there's something like that happened? And now how are you sort of getting back to...
I think missing the bus is not a characterization that I would agree with, right?
Okay.
I think that our business has evolved and it's changed into a different kind of space. I think one of the things that one of the differences between how we operate and most of the folks that you look in the podcasting space broadly operate is that we operate as a company. We're not single creator led.
Right.
Most of the
Right.
folks who you're talking about are single creator led. That changes the dynamic of how work occurs to a great degree.
Right.
And so for us, I think that's one of the differences. The second thing I would say is that we became a lot more focused on how we can work with brands rather than
Okay.
IPs.
Yes.
We still build IPs, we're still very interested in creating IPs and stuff like that, right? But we are almost always looking at how IPs can be monetized. Like on the Sanya show, we have 5 sponsors
Yes.
that came in on that took 6 months to close, right? It
I'm
takes
sure it's a lot of
Wow.
hard work.
it's a lot of work to get that kind
Yeah.
of thing doing, but then that is also how you build long-term sustainability. If you look at something which is led by an individual creator, right, then your dependence on that one person is off the charts. It is
Right.
that person's
Right.
thing.
Yeah. So
We're
true.
looking at ourselves more in the context of where we want to see ourselves as an institution. We want to see ourselves as somebody who is around. We've been around for more than 10 years now. We want to be around for 20, 30, 40, 50, right? And so for that to happen, we cannot be completely dependent on individuals
Just one
to
creator.
that degree.
Yeah.
We have to figure out ways where we can build out as much different kinds of things and try and figure out as many different monetization models as we possibly can. That allows us to persist.
Right.
So I have we missed opportunities? 100%. I mean, no question about it, right? But I also don't know that doing what we do the way we do it, I don't know that those opportunities that you might be thinking of were really available to us.
Whereas, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Agreed.
another. It's another reason why we look at the sponsorship model, right, on this stuff as opposed to the guest as a client model,
Okay.
right? Like the idea that you are a PR mouthpiece, right? I had this conversation honestly about whether or not we should take money from guests for the first time. I want to say in like 2017 with a guy who was making podcasts in Israel.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And he started doing that, and he's like, man, I'm making so much money doing it. Each of these guests who are coming on are paying me $10,000 to interview them, and I'm this. He's not doing it anymore, right?
You can't sustain with that money.
It's not just that. It's like it kind of dilutes the degree of what you're doing to a
For
great
sure,
extent, I
yeah.
think. So so we didn't go into that model, and that's not a model that ever really kind of made sense for me.
Okay. Yeah, so it's
That's-
such an interesting thing that you have to find the right kind of sponsor also. Even if a brand is willing to give you money, they have to sort of sit well with the idea of the...
So that's the challenge. That's the
Yeah.
difficulty, right? That's what makes it tough, right? If it
I
were-
was very much blown aback कि आपके पास you had 5 sponsors for the Sania Mirza wala.
Yeah, no. Again, it took a long time to get them on
But
board.
it'll be very
right?
tough now because
It
whether
is.
they'll align or not, or they'll also have clash because उनका भी उनके साथ meeting करवाना है.
So we had to pick different category sponsors, right? Like so, I count them out, right? Like so, Myntra, as I mentioned,
Yeah.
we have given them a
Right.
windowing sponsor, right? We have Digitech as our primary main title
Oh,
sponsor,
yeah.
right?
Wow.
We have British Airways
They
as the
make
travel
equipments,
sponsor.
right?
Yeah.
They make
Like,
equipment, yes.
Yeah.
We have British Airways as our travel sponsor. We have
Interesting.
Crompton Greaves as our kitchen sponsor. But basically, we're doing it's a Sanya show, so we're making a smoothie on set. Using
So
a
it's
Crompton
like
Greaves.
you need to find ways to
You have
incorporate
to find
those
ways to
things
incorporate
also.
them. And then we have
Yeah.
Solitario, which is a gifting sponsor.
Yeah.
Right, so you give a gift to every guest who comes in at the end, and they get
For
the-
everything you have everything sorted.
So you have to. It's constructing something like that. It's complicated, but ultimately sustainable.
Yeah.
It is.
Interesting. Yeah.
What will
Interesting.
happen?
Thank you so much, Amit. We really
No,
wished
no.
Kavita would have been here also.
Yeah, it was an
I know she
amazing
wanted to be,
conversation.
I know that, like she messaged like 10 minutes before she was getting in. I have to get on this emergency call. Can you do
Oh, no.
this? So
Oh God.
But it's okay. Otherwise,
No
this would have been
worries,
our
no.
first conversation with 4 people.
Yeah,
Oh, wow,
yeah.
okay.
It would have been
Round table
lovely.
sort of a thing. But thank you so much.
Not
Amit.
at all.
In fact, your
Okay.
health was not that great, and still you managed to have like a long conversation with us. Thank you. And this was like really a. If we had like a pen and paper, we would have been constantly noting things down because it is
Because-
something that really we want to personally
That's good to
have
hear.
Our
conversations
industry
about.
मतलब
Yes.
इसमें तो हमें we want to tap into a very
हाँ, और करना है अभी तो
हाँ.
बहुत it's a long journey for
That's
us
great
as
to
well.
hear. That's great to
Yeah.
hear.
But thank you so much.
amazing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Alright,
much.
thank
Hope
you
you
guys.
enjoyed too.
Thank you.